Hello, loyal listeners. Have we got a deal for you during this cold and flu season? Or any time of year when you're around kids? Or any time of year when kids are around kids? Or there's any possible exchange of germs? Allison and I spend a lot of time in that atmosphere, don't we, Allison?
Yes, we do. And there's a lot of germs there.
Yes. So what should people do?
Diffusing On Guard in the classroom is beneficial for teachers and students. And you can get it in so many different ways. There's oils, toothpaste, hand soap, cough drops, mouthwash, and it's all natural.
Thank goodness for doTERRA oils during our germy times of day.
Yes.
Listeners of this podcast who sign up for a no-obligation wholesale account through Joy will receive a free beginner's kit of lemon, lavender, and peppermint, along with a list of 101 uses. But remember, it has to be through Joy. Allison, why does it have to be through Joy?
Because she's our sponsor.
Right. Tell them how.
Yeah. Go to our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com, and click on sponsor offers and follow the instructions on the site.
And now to today's topic.
Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Allison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide.
Hello, podcast listeners. We have a kind of exciting announcement that we're actually going to start out with, and then we're going to deep dive into our topic about acknowledging children's behavior and how to do that, and then the mistakes that sometimes people make. But we're going to start with our announcement, right, Allison?
Yes. Super excited.
Yeah. We've been talking about how we need some sort of name for all of you who are fans of our podcast. We hear from people all the time, and we're so excited about that. And we want a name for you. I listen to other podcasts and they like give their listeners names, right? And Allison pointed out what sometimes famous people have a name for the people who are their fans.
Yeah. I can't think of a celebrity right now, but I know they do.
Right, you know? Right. And I'm going to give an example because I think it's good PR for them, and I'm just going to say it. Yeah. I listen to a podcast all the time, Armchair Experts with Dax Shepard and Monica Padman. Love their podcast. And if they happen to hear that we mention them, feel free to have us on as guests. But Alice and I would be so happy to be in the attic with you.
So happy.
But they do this thing. So he is the armchair expert, and their listeners are called armchairies. Get it?
Yeah, I get it. I didn't get it at first, but I get it now.
Get it? Armchairies. It's so cute. We need a cute name. So here's what we're going to do. Listeners, we're going to have a little contest. And what we'd love for you to do is go to our website, howpreschoolteachersdoit.com, to the contact form, and send us a quick contact email, which you can do again right through our website, with what you think you all should be called, some cute little name.
Yeah.
We're excited to hear what you come up with. And you never know what good thing could land in your mailbox if you win.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Allison and I were plotters. We're plotters and planners.
Yeah. We try. We
do. We're going to, you never know what you might get. So this episode is airing in the beginning of December. So what do you say, Allison? We give them to the holidays.
Yeah.
Like what would be the winter break. So
yeah, like right before.
Right before what?
Like right before like New Year's, like the week or two before New Year's.
Yeah. So let's end it let's end it. I know. Let's end it on my older son's birthday, December 23rd.
Oh, perfect.
Right?
It's a perfect date.
Yeah. We'll end it on Mike's birthday. So December 23rd, please submit whatever cute name you think of for our fans through our website by December 23rd. I'm excited about this.
I am really excited.
Okay.
I can't wait.
And, we believe in acknowledging the good that people do. So that's actually the topic we're kind of going to talk about today. How do you like that segue?
That was perfect.
I know. It's so bad. Okay. So we're going to talk about when children need to be encouraged for their good behavior, different ways to do that, and some things to avoid.
Yes.
So, Allison, you were talking about what you do with your class. So why don't you go ahead and describe that?
In my class, we have, well, let me start with my entire school has this thing called like the Shining Stars. And the older children get certificates for like acts of kindness and generosity and, you know, teamwork and things like that. But for my kids in my class, they're too young kind of for that kind of stuff. So I made it where it was every day they got a paper star that I cut out with like a die cut, you know, and when they earn it, I write on there what they did. So, you know, so-and-so shared a block today, or Johnny gave a hug to a friend that was sad, or whatever it may be, you know, or, you know, somebody was very helpful to the teacher and it was really a good help. And I write it on the star. It's just a construction paper star. Cost me nothing, just a little bit of time during the day to write it out. And then at the end of the school day at our like goodbye little meeting, I announce all the stars, like this big, like almost like an award ceremony. Like I read what
their own little Academy Awards. Yeah.
And they get so excited when they get one. So excited. And then I send those stars home, and then at home their parents could read what they did because it's all written down, and then they could celebrate at home however they decided to celebrate. I
really love that you send it home. And that's one piece of advice that I'm always giving schools is that they don't need to do big giant celebrations in school for every individual achievement. But families would be so happy to see it. And one of the things I love about sending it home is this. You know, you may send home, I work with a school who sends home, they keep sort of like these little tickets that they fill out all week long. So you send them home at the end of the day. What they do is they acknowledge the children in the moment. They write something out and put it in an envelope, and whatever's in that envelope gets sent home at the end of the week. So, you know, little Susie, who struggles a little more with socialization and behavior, she may get 1 or 2 little tickets with acknowledgement on it, and her family's happy about that. While Joey, who is always trying to do the right thing, may go home with 12 little pieces of paper. And his family celebrating that. So the family with 2 and the family with 12 are still celebrating what's good. And I just want to say something, you know, based on what I just said. You know, I said Joey, who's always trying to please people. I want to put a little caveat and say, I believe in early childhood, they're almost always trying to please people. Everyone is. They're doing things to the best of their ability. And that's why that child who takes 2 home, well, that was as good as that child could do that week, and good for them, right? And some weeks they're going to take 10 home, and some weeks they're going to take 1 home. But I think it's important that everybody gets at least 1 so that the families have something to celebrate. And then all the attention gets paid to the good instead of the not so good.
Right.
Right?
Right. Like it is a good way to acknowledge them. Like so much happens during the day that it's easy to remember all like the bad stuff or the, you know, the hard moments. But this, like at the end of the day, when I give out my stars, I'm like, oh, that's right. Like these kids are like awesome. And they did good things all day long. You know, it's not just like, it's a great way to acknowledge all the good that happens during the day and to remember that that's what it's about.
Yeah, really, it is. And I think it's great that it's even a reminder to you, because don't we as adults, as human beings, we're human beings, we get caught up in the drama and the difficult times, and we forget good is also going on all day long, folks. So we just have to seek that. We have to, instead of doing this very human thing where the negative draws all our attention, we have to be looking for that good to acknowledge the kids. And I also want to point this out, you know, in some school settings, you know, people are going to celebrate children's good behavior. You know, they'll collect a certain number of something, a certain number of stickers or a certain number of stamps or, I don't know, a certain number of stars. And then they are going to have some sort of maybe class-wide celebration, which is also good, right? You take how many the whole class has earned to a certain level, and the whole class gets to celebrate the good that has happened in there. One of the things I usually recommend is one of those jars where small jar, big pom-poms, and you fill the jar really quickly, and then the whole class gets to celebrate. Whether they contributed or not, they're still part of the celebration because we are trying to get them to work as a group and as a unit and to celebrate each other. And I want to point out that those celebrations don't mean ice cream cakes, and they don't mean pizza party, and they don't mean bake cupcakes. They mean do something really fun that the kids enjoy. I've seen classes do a dance party when they get enough of their little stars from everybody, or pom-poms. I've seen people tell the students, we're going to spend extra time outside today because you were so, you collected this many stars as a class. Have you done any of that, Allison?
I have. I've done picnic lunch.
Oh, that's cool too.
Picnic lunch. Yeah. So, I mean, they're eating, it's their lunches. They bring it in. I write the parents a note saying, make sure it's something that is easily eaten outside and not a lot of waste, that's going to fly around. And I bring the picnic blankets out and we eat outside for the day. That's usually, I've also done like at other schools, like, hey, you can have like a little like movie day,
Yeah, that's fun. Except like where we are in the state we're in, we can't do that if you're in a private setting because they have limited screen time.
Right.
Otherwise, that would be a bunch of fun.
I know. But I have heard teachers from other places that do like a movie day. Well, I don't do that at my school now because it's kind of frowned upon in the public school to do a movie. But that's why I changed to picnic lunch, because picnic lunch is just, hey, we got to eat
picnic lunch
anyway.
Is fun. You can even do that inside if it's snowy or something.
Yeah,
that's a lot of fun. Yeah. Something the kids would think is fun. You okay over there?
Some teachers. It's so distracting with Rusty. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead. You were saying some teachers
at my school do pajama day.
Oh yeah, pajama day can be an acknowledgement that they get to do pajama day, but then you have to kind of switch it up. So this time we'll do pajama day, and next time we'll do crazy hat day, and make that one of the acknowledgments. We don't need to be giving them food, and we don't need to be giving them dollar store toys. I go in sometimes to schools and they've got those dollar store toys, and I'm like, there really are so much more meaningful ways that we can help children's good behavior be acknowledged. Yeah. But it is important to acknowledge it. And I think it's important, if you are in a school setting, to acknowledge the individual, which most of that acknowledgement, as you said, can happen at home. It's important to acknowledge the class for all they've achieved together, even if they haven't all contributed equally. And your school does something, which is awesome. So it's hitting all three levels of authority, basically, right? Parents, classroom teacher, and school. So that's awesome. And I've seen people take that and run with it, and the kids really attach to it once they figure it out, once they figure out what's happening. And I've also seen some things that are kind of disturbing. I've seen children given a sticker for doing something great at 10 o'clock in the morning, and then they did something that maybe was less appropriate 1 in the afternoon, and somebody took their sticker away. You can't do that.
Can't do that. Yeah.
You can't do that. The one action had nothing to do with the other. They still did that good thing in the morning.
Right. Right. It's almost like, as an adult, if you did a really awesome job at work on Monday and you got paid for that day, and then on Tuesday made a mistake, and they're like, we're not going to pay you for Monday.
Oh my God, Allison, I love that. I love that. Okay, I'm totally, just so you know, I'm stealing that comparison and using it when I speak to people. That is a great comparison.
Right. And as an adult, you would be really upset if that was what was happening. So you'd be like, but I really did a good job yesterday. Like, why aren't I getting,
why aren't I getting paid for yesterday?
Why aren't I getting paid for yesterday? I just made one mistake today.
Oh, Allison. Yeah. Oh my God. I love that. I'm so taking that. That, what you just said is so spot on. We wouldn't tolerate that as adults.
So why are we doing it to kids?
Can you imagine for a second? I get paid to go and do teacher trainings and public speaking sometimes as part of my work. Can you imagine if I show up and I do a teacher training session and it was great and they pay me, and I show up next time and for some reason, I don't know, I'm having an allergy attack and I have laryngitis and they can't hear me as well, and they're like, oh, and by the way, you have to give us back the money from last time.
Right.
Like, no.
But I earned that.
Yeah, I earned that. Oh my, such a great, is it a metaphor? What did you just do? Was it a metaphor? I'm terrible at knowing if it's a metaphor. I think it's a metaphor. And I would like to thank you for comparing that. So it's really putting it in grown-up terms. Like, folks, no one takes your reward for good work back. And that's your paycheck. Brilliant.
It's almost like this. Also, I have another one you might not like as much, but...
No, go ahead. I might.
Okay, because I'm on a roll now.
Yeah, you are. Do it.
Okay, so like your football team wins the Super Bowl last year, and this year they're terrible, and they're in last place. They're not going to take away the previous title because you were horrible this year.
Oh,
right?
That's another good one.
Yeah. Right? They don't take it away just because your team is not as good as it was last year. You still earned that. Your team earned that last year.
Do you know
so that's like a good teamwork one. Like your class one day might be really on point, and then the next day they're having a rough day for whatever reason. You shouldn't take away the classroom reward from the day before because today just happens to be a rough day.
You are totally on a roll. You are totally on a roll. I have to tell you, when we first started recording today, Allison was like, I don't know, I've had a kind of a rough week. But no, you're on a roll. So you're absolutely right. And I actually heard, someone told me that they heard someone talking about how this person, that sometimes like, I don't know, the gym teacher or somebody will give them stamps on their hand or on their feet or something. Yeah. Right? They have stamps that they'll put on. So someone had actually spoken about how they will take that child later and wash the stamp off. That is like wrong, folks. You can't take the sticker back. You can't take the pom-pom back. You can't wash the stamp off. They earned that earlier. So just remember that we want to focus our attention on the good as much as possible, right? And not negate that because something else happened later. No one is perfect. I'm not perfect. These children are not going to be perfect. No one is perfect.
And I think it makes it when you start taking it away. Like if a child was good in like phys ed and they got the sticker, right? Or stamp or whatever, and then you take it away, the next time, why would they even bother trying to earn the stamp? Because they're like, well, so-and-so, they're just going to wash it away if I make one mistake. Like, why would you? It doesn't help them at all. It just kind of like defeats them.
That's right. Yeah. So, we're over 15 minutes, but because we had that announcement in the beginning, I let us go over a little bit. So what do you think, how can we sum up for people other than saying you do need to acknowledge when the children do the right thing so that we're focusing on positive more often than negative?
Yeah.
Tie families in. If you work in a school setting, tie them into celebrating their individual children, because then that comparison isn't made from one child to another in your classroom all the time. Right? And remember, if you work in a school, it's great to have a multi-tiered acknowledgement, individual, class, and then school.
Right.
And please do not take back what they have earned.
Yeah.
They earned it. Just like Allison said so brilliantly, we earn our paycheck. We wouldn't give that back.
Right.
Now,
so brilliant.
You are. You're on. We're recording more today. I can't wait. All right. So Allison and I would also love you to acknowledge our good behavior.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you do that by doing a few things. You subscribe to our podcast. You recommend it to others. You post links to it maybe on your social media. But more importantly, because of how it works with being acknowledged as a worthwhile podcast, you have to give us 5 stars. You have to rate us, right? 5 stars, rate us and review us, because that's really what pushes you up in things like, the Apple Podcasts. It pushes you up on the list. So please, 5 stars. I was listening to another podcast, Allison, and their announcer said something like, you have to give us 5 stars because 1, 2, 3, and 4 are broken. You can't even do those. See, we don't even tell you that. We're just like, please, we're just begging.
Please, we just beg. Yeah.
Right, we're going to beg. And we're also going to be watching whatever you submit through our contact form to see what you all want to be called as our fans. I can't wait.
So excited.
Early childhood people, they're the most creative people. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Catch you next time on the podcast.